Hi folks, Mike Lynch here from Barna Financial Group, where my team helps you create and implement financial plans to help you achieve your life's great goals. Okay, today we're going to take you through a video or a schematic I'm going to call choices, choices, choices. These are deep dive videos, and they're designed to really help you get a sense of what we do, how we help our clients make smart choices. I plan to make smart choices to get what they want. And one question that we get a lot, hey Mike, just had a grandbaby. A lot of times we're getting grandbabies. Could be a parent, could be a grandparent. What is the best way to accumulate money for education, for college, or for this baby, all right? Now, as you know, if you've seen, and so the answer is, a lot of times the answer, and it certainly is here, an adult diaper, and that is, it depends, okay? It depends. Now, there's an array of options. There's an array of options, and what the one's going to be best is going to depend on what it is you're looking for. Now, before I start going through these again, I want to bring up a concept I've used in another video, and all these accounts, my friends, are tools like a hammer. They're tools. None of these accounts are in and of themselves good and or bad. They're just tools to be used. Now, last time the FBI did statistics, a hammer killed 500 people in 1 year. I looked it up. I put it in my last book, which is Start Simple, Grow Big. Doesn't mean a hammer's bad. A hammer's good. It's a good tool. It's just a bad use of it to kill people. Okay? So here we go. We're going to evaluate each of these tools on these features. What are the contribution limits? Is there any free money associated with these accounts? Free money means somebody's putting money in for you. You don't have to put it in. Is there going to be a tax break on contributions? We've done a tax control video where we did a tax control diamond. We're going to bring that concept in here just for the education. Is there taxation on the gains in the account? How about the withdrawals? What are the taxes? What are the restrictions? What are the restrictions on withdrawals? And then, of course, who's it the best fit for? We're always going to talk about the good stuff. So what are the downsides? What are the trade-offs? All right? So again, let's get going on this slide. So the first one that we're going to look at are going to be Section 529 plans. Again, folks, a Section 529 plan, it's a plunger. It's a plunger. Now, what do I mean by that? It is a specialized tool. We all know what a plunger's for. And we don't really want to use it for anything else. Now, you could toss a beer in here or a martini and drink it out here, I guess. I don't recommend it, and I wouldn't do it. It's a very specialized tool, and when you need that job done, it beats most of the alternatives. So what a Section 529 plan for is fantastic if you want it to go tax favored for college. So let's take a look. What are the contribution limits? Well, I say annual gifting. There's no account level contribution limit, but when I put money in a 529 plan for my son, it's considered a gift under federal gifting laws, which means anybody, without even writing it down, can do $19,000 a year. A parent or a grandparent, it's per giver, not per recipient. And from the federal level, they let you bundle up 5 years in 1 year. So for example, a grandparent wanted to do a large contribution, could do $38,000 times 5 in a 529 plan, and there'd be no gift tax consequences, okay? Is there free money? Now, this is state dependent. Some states might, if you open up an account in their state, they might actually put some money in for a baby, okay? I've seen it, so I'm not gonna say, but mostly there's not free money available for a 529 plan, but I have seen it. Same. What about when the money goes in? Is there a tax break? There's no federal tax break, folks. There's no federal tax break, and federal taxes are the big taxes, but depending on the state, some states offer state tax breaks for contributions, okay? Some states do, and I work in those states, and if so, you have to use the account for the state. Again, this is not a tax advice video. You've got to talk to your accountant, you're a tax professional, do your own research, but this will get you started, so some states do. Taxation on the gains. Now we're starting to cook with grease. There's none. Taxation on withdrawals. None if used for education. And there's a few other exceptions because these accounts are such plungers that people say, well, I don't want that account because what if my child doesn't go to college? So there are some exceptions out there and they're getting more flexible. Restrictions on withdrawals, again, they are designed for education. You can always take the money out. You can always take it out, but it can be penalized on the way out if it's not qualified or not for one of the exceptions. What's the best fit, folks? It is for tax-free education. It's what paying for my son's college right now. I'm saving massive taxes paying out of tax-free gains through 529 plans. Open the accounts up when my children were born, and they have been fantastic. And what are the downsides, folks? Well, you can know what they are. You're taxed and penalized if they're large withdrawals and they're not used for education, okay? Again, there's a lot of flexibility. You can move to other children in the same family. You can put some money in a Roth potentially if the account meets a lot of qualifications beyond the scope of this video. But if you think of this as a plunger for education, you are not going to be disappointed. All right, so let's move to the next one. Our next account that we're going to focus on is the UTMA account. Now, what does UTMA stand for? Uniform Transfer to Minors Account. Some state it's called a UGMA, Uniform Gift to Minors Account, but usually the UTMAs now. These are old school, baby. Old school for the old fool. Child is born, grandma wants to give money, gives money in the child's name. The parents are going to be, or the grandparents are going to be the trustee. The money is going to be in the kid's name. A lot of advantages. You can put a lot of money in. Annual gifting, so the same as a 529, except for you don't have that 5-year rule. Free money, well, nobody's giving you free money on that one. Tax break on contributions, definitely a lot. What about taxation on the gains in the account? Well, this actually should say, I fixed it, this should say $2,700. The first $2,700 is typically not taxed. Half of that is a standard deduction for the child. Half of that gets taxed at the child's interest rate, which will be close to zero. So very, very, very low taxes. But after $2,700, if it's large amounts, it goes up to the trustee, the account owner, the parent's tax rates. And this is designed so that it can't just be a tax shelter. So it can't just be a tax shelter for the wealthy. Same with withdrawals on capital gains. Again, it's not $2,000. Those are old news. It's $2,700. Restrictions on withdrawals. Well, practically there's none, but it's money in your child or your grandchild's name, so it has to be used for their benefit. In other words, you can't give them money, accumulate it, and then take it out and buy yourself a golf cart, right? No. It has to be for their benefit, and you can't charge them rent for it either. But again, those are beyond the scope of this video. We don't give tax or legal advice, so you're going to want to check with those professionals on that. But we kind of know the rules of the road, and so we're teeing you in here. What's the best fit for? Well, look, it's easy to set up. So what's good, the big advantage, it's very easy to set up. We need a birthday, we need a social security number, and you have an array of investment options. There's no restrictions. It's not set up with the state or anything like that. What's the downside, folks? Here's the thing. A couple of them. Number one, at the age of 21, my son's 21, his UTMA is now his money. It's his money. Now, that could be good, have access to it, or it could be bad. Maybe you don't want a 21-year-old getting the money at that time. But the big thing is, if it is for education, it's kind of like the anti-plunger because it is considered the child's money when that child applies for financial aid. If a child applies for financial aid, it's expected to spend a large portion, a significant portion of it each year counts against financial aid. So typically, that's actually where it used to excel was these accounts for education in the old days. Now they've sort of been surpassed. So far, so good. Okay, we're going to keep moving. The next one's a new one on the scene. And just by its very name, of course, it's going to be some controversy, but I certainly did not want to leave this one out. We're getting all kinds of questions from their clients on it, and it caused me to research and look at them. These are called Trump accounts, okay? The Trump account. These can't get them yet. You can sign up online with the Treasury. It's Form 4547, and it's easy to sign up, but they won't be available until July 4th of this year, and there's still some evolving details on these accounts. But here's what we're going to know so far. Again, contribution limits, $5,000. For children born this year through, I think, 2028, there is free money. It's $1,000. It's $1,000. Tax break on contribution? No, it's not income tax deductible. But there's not taxation on the gain, so it grows tax-free. When it comes out at age 18, what it appears to happen is pretty much turn into a traditional IRA with some, maybe some enhanced withdrawal. So the gains at that point will be taxed as income. Restrictions on withdrawals? Well, again, there's going to be no withdrawals until age 18, right? These accounts are illiquid until age 18, at which point it becomes the child's, the new adult, and then the money's going to be there. Best fit. It's free money from the government. It's an easy account for long-term accumulation at equity returns. Again, we're still learning about these accounts, but it appears they're going to be invested in some version of a U.S. stock market equity index, such as a total stock market or perhaps the famous S&P 500. And if you start looking at compounding from age 0 to age 18, these accounts could get quite big. Not so much for education, but they get smoking big for retirement. What are the downsides? Well, low contribution limits, and likely they're going to be taxable like IRAs as ordinary income on withdrawals. Okay, we're going to keep moving. Our next one. This is one that we use a lot, so I'm going to want you to pay attention to this one. And this one's going to be called parent and grandparent-owned investment. So let me walk you why we get here. This we talked about the plunger. This is going to be a multi-purpose tool, okay? This is a flexible multi-purpose tool. It's going to have a plier to it. It's going to also have a little saw to it. It might have a knife to it. It's going to be able to do some damage out there. We start talking about this when people say, look, I don't know if my child is going to go to college. Well, how could you know? Your grandchild's a baby. But maybe the parents say, look, not college, not for everybody. So they worry about the restrictions on the 529. But they say, well, what if my child does go to college, or at 21, we don't feel like they're ready for a bunch of money? So that kind of hurts the UTMA account, right? Trump account haven't really come into the mix yet because they're brand new. But a lot of times I'll find myself saying, well, you know there's another option. And here's the option. Open up an investment account that you own and you control. You're either the parent or the grandparent. Invest in an investment in that account, so now it's in your name. But you have it earmarked. You know that account is for your grandson or your son or your daughter. Then you have another one. You can either open up another account and use exactly the same investment, exactly the same amount if that's important to you, or just use a slightly different investment in the same account and make notes who's it for. So for example, you might use the S&P 500 index from one company, and then when the next child's born, you use the S&P 5 index from another company. It's the same investment, different time. Okay, so what's the advantage of this? Well, let's talk about this. Is there contribution limits? Nope, it's your money. Unlimited contributions. Free money? Absolutely not. Nobody's giving you free money, you bum. Tax breaks on contributions? None. What about gains in the account? It's taxable to you as the owner. It's your tax rate. Could be a negative. You want to be tax efficient. Taxation on withdrawals. If you sell it, a capital gain, again, go back to our tax control diamond video, it could be taxable to owner. Restrictions on withdrawals? None, folks. None. Okay, who's this best fit for? This is best fit for parents and grandparents who want flexibility and control. You want flexibility and control. It's not going to count against financial aid if the grandparents own it, and if the parents own it, it'll be counted a lot less than the UTMA account, right? The account owner determines when, if ever, the child gets the money. So with that, how would the child get the money? Well, okay. I have an account, and my son has a baby, and so I do an account for this, for little Michael, because he's going to name his son after me. I know he's going to do that, right, Dominic? Now, here's the thing. I invest in this account, we get to college age, and now that now are 21, the kid's responsible, and let's say there's 50,000 in there, okay? If I want to avoid the tax, I put in 20, there's now 50. I could just transfer the funds right to little Michael's account. No tax for me, it's just under the gift. We just got to play around with the gifting rules, but it's a practical matter. It's simple and easy to do, right? Another way, if he's in college, and I don't want that account to affect financial aid, well then I might as well pay capital gains at my rates, but then directly put the money, directly pay his college. Won't count against financial aid. Or I might want to keep it because it's taxable, so I know it's my money anyway. I take little Michael's name off of the account. I put big Michael's name on the account. Remember, it's notation. My name's always on the account. It's in my name, and I just pay the college out of cash. Either way, it works. What are the downsides, folks? The downsides are it's taxed to the parents and grandparents, and you got to play with the gift rules when you're actually transferring it, and you might lose track of it. And if I hit the nursing home, it's considered my asset. So I own it, I control it, all that. But we find that it's can be very, very good for people. Now, here's the next one, folks. Believe it or not, I'm talking here about using cash value life insurance. Right now, again, remember, tools are not good or bad. They can just either be used correctly or incorrectly, right? And the cash value life insurance policy is absolutely a multi-purpose tool. It's a Swiss Army knife of financial planning, all the multi-purpose tool of financial planning. But it has to be used correctly and understood. Okay, so what are some of the features of it? Well, there's going to be no contribution limits, which can be nice. There can be there's no free money. There's no tax break to put the money in, but there's no taxation when the money grows. And if the money comes out, like a Roth, take out what you put in. There's no taxation on your withdrawals. And if you have gains, you borrow against it, just like you might borrow against a house on a home equity line or some other asset, an investment account. And when you borrow against a collateralized loan, a lot of times it's very favorable interest rates, okay? Very favorable interest rates. Again, it has to be done right. There's no restrictions not involved. Now, when I'm talking about cash value life insurance, this could be cash value life insurance that you put on yourself, but you just know the money is going to be for the child, right? The money is going to be for the child. Or it could be one you could use on your child. My son has a couple of them, and they're working pretty well for him. Okay, who is this the best fit for? Well, it's life insurance, folks. So it's good for people who value permanent life insurance. They want the actual life insurance because you're going to pay the cost for the life insurance. You're going to pay the cost for the life insurance, but you're going to get that benefit. They want tax-free accumulation, and they're willing to deal with the complexity of life insurance. The reason this stuff goes bad is people do not manage it, they do not understand it, they do not track it, they do not monitor it. So what are the downsides? Well, the downsides are the complexity of establishing a contract. And yes, it's a contract. Yes, it's a contract. There are downsides to the costs associated with life insurance, especially if you don't want it. And then finally, the commitment of ongoing premium. When you're doing a 529 plan, there's no commitment. When you're doing an UTMA, there's no future commitment. When you're doing a Trump account, there's going to be no future commitment. When you're putting in an account for the grandparent, there's no future commitment. Anytime you set up a life insurance contract, with very, very few exceptions, if you want to have it flexible, get the cash out, have a lot of tax variability, it is going to be a commitment. It works over time. So there you have it, folks. We got one simple goal. We have a child or grandchild, and we want to fund education. You might think it's easy and it's obvious. You go for the plunger account, the Section 529 plan. It's the first place we go. It's the first thing we start discussing. But based on what your goals are, there is an array of options out there. And good financial planning says, we sit with you, you understand yourself, we understand you, and we fit the right account structure, the right investment structure, the right tax structure to your goals. Now, here's the thing. I hope you find this interesting. Certainly take this information and you can go do all of this on your own. If you want help, you say, hey, it's complex. I want to integrate this education with my retirement, with my housing goals. You want a little financial planning? we're here to help, folks. Give us a call. We'll help you design a plan that'll meet your needs. We'll focus on your finances so you can focus on your life.